Hello everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am showing you guys the new releases for 2022 from January through March. A series of videos that I did last year as well, showing new releases in 2021 that I really enjoyed doing because it was showing you the new releases that I am very excited for. I'm sure there's plenty of other new releases that are going to be coming out, but these are the ones that I have on my radar that I am most likely to pick up and read, and I just wanted to share them with you. So for today, I think we have 29 books that I'm going to go through, and we're going to start obviously with January and work our way down through March. The first one I have here just has a date of January 2022. I don't have an exact date yet. However, the author has been good about putting these books out at the month that they said that they're going to. I just don't have a full date. This is going to be Renegade Love by Anne Aguirre. It is the third book in the Strange Love series of companion novels. These are sci-fi romance, and I'm very excited for this one. The first book, Strange Love, I absolutely loved. I think I read it in 2020 and fell in love with it. The second book, Love Code, I still liked. It wasn't as good for me personally, and I think it's just because I had hyped Strange Love up so much because I really loved that one. But I also think it could have been because in Strange Love we have an alien and a human, and in Love Code we have an alien and an AI, and in this one we're going back to the alien and human combination, and I feel like I'm going to be able to connect a little bit more, and so I'm very excited for this one. The summary says, he's relentless, he's aggressive, his armor is scarred to hell. Toth Crag is infamous among bounty hunters. Nobody has ever seen his face and lived to tell the tale. He doesn't fail, he doesn't quit, and he doesn't take prisoners, but maybe he's getting soft. For once, he showed mercy, and no good deed goes unpunished, so now he's tracking the deadbeats who run Volan's fabulous spectacle. She's casual, she's spontaneous, she never liked Earth that much anyway. Yara Duncan is always at the wrong place at the wrong time. That's how she wound up as the human attraction in a space circus. Frankly, it's the best gig she's ever had. Aliens pay to watch her eat and do puzzles, and she gets to see the galaxy free of charge. She's enjoying the adventure until the scariest hunter in the universe shows up. For some reason, he thinks she's in charge, and he's determined to drag her back to face his employers. Yara doesn't run from her problems, and Crag doesn't know what to do with a human who seems more interested in what he looks like under his armor. This time, the hunter becomes the hunted in the wildly unpredictable game of love. Moving into the releases that do have dates, there are 3 coming out on January 4th. The first one is In Every Generation by Kendara Blake. This one I do believe is some sort of Buffy the Vampire Slayer book. Yes, so it's going to be featuring the next generation of Scoobies and Slayers who must defeat a powerful new evil. So a new Slayer for a new generation. Frankie Rosenberg is passionate about the environment, a sophomore at New Sunnydale High School, and the daughter of the most powerful witch in Sunnydale history. Her mom, Willow, is slowly teaching her magic on the condition that she use it to better the world. But Frankie's happily quiet life is upended when new girl Haley shows up with news that the annual Slayer convention has been the target of an attack, and all the Slayers, including Buffy, Faith, and Haley's older sister Vi, might be dead. That means it's time for this generation's Slayer to be born. But being the first ever Slayer witch means learning how to wield a stake while trying to control her budding powers. With the help of Haley, a werewolf named Jake, and a hot but nerdy sage demon, Frankie must become the Slayer, prevent the Hellmouth from opening again, and find out what happened to her Aunt Buffy before she's next. Then we have The Kindred by Alicia Dow. All I know about this one is I'm pretty sure it is YA sci-fi. Joy Ibarra knows her place. A commoner from the lowly planet Holly, she lives a simple life, apart from the notoriety that being kindred to the nobility's most famous playboy brings. Duke Felis Hamdi has a plan. He will exasperate his noble family to the point that they agree to let him choose his own future and finally meet his kindred face to face. Then the royal family is assassinated, putting Felix next in line for the throne, and accused of the murders. Someone will stop at nothing until he's dead, which means they'll target Joy too. Meeting in person for the first time as they steal a spacecraft and flee amid chaos might not be ideal, and neither is crash landing on the strange backward planet called Earth. But hiding might just be the perfect way to discover the true strength of the kindred bond and expose a scandal and a love that may decide the future of the galaxy. And then we also have Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. I absolutely love that this cover sort of matches The Wife Upstairs, even though I don't think they're technically like related in a series or companion type of way. When Lux McAllister and her boyfriend Nico are hired to sail two women to a remote island in the South Pacific, it seems like the opportunity of a lifetime. Stuck in a dead-end job in Hawaii and longing to travel the world after a family tragedy, Lux is eager to climb on board the Susanna and set out on an adventure. She's also quick to bond with their passengers, college best friends Brittany and Alma. The two women say they want to travel off the beaten path, but like Lux, they may have other reasons to be seeking an escape. Shimmering on the horizon after days at sea, Moreau Island is every bit the paradise the foursome expects, despite a mysterious history of shipwrecks, cannibalism, and even rumors of murder. But what they don't expect is to discover another boat already anchored off Moreau's sandy beaches. The owners of the Azure Sky, Jake and Eliza, are a true golden couple. Gorgeous, laid back, and if their sleek catamaran and well-stocked bar are any indication, rich. Now a party of 6, the new friends settle in to experience life on an exotic island, and the serenity of being completely off the grid. Lux hasn't felt like she truly belonged anywhere in years, yet here on Moreau, with these fellow free spirits, she finally has a sense of peace. But with the arrival of a skeevy stranger sailing alone in pursuit of a darker kind of good time, the balance of the group is disrupted. Soon, cracks begin to emerge. It seems that Brittany and Alma haven't been completely honest with Lux about their pasts, and perhaps not even with each other. And though Jake and Eliza seem like the perfect pair, the rocky history of their relationship begins to resurface, and their reasons for sailing to Moreau might not be as innocent as they first appeared. When it becomes clear that the group is even more cut off from civilization than they initially thought, it starts to feel like the island itself is closing in on them. And when one person goes missing and another turns up dead, Lux begins to wonder if any of them are going to make it off the island alive. Then there is one book releasing on January 11th, which is the Bone Spindle by Leslie Vedder. And this says it's going to be Sleeping Beauty meets Indiana Jones. Like, okay. Fee is a bookish treasure hunter with a knack for ruins and riddles who definitely doesn't believe in true love. Shane is a tough-as-dirt girl warrior from the north who likes cracking skulls, pretty girls, and doing things her own way. Briar Rose is a prince under a sleeping curse who's been waiting 100 years for the kiss that will wake him. Cursed princes are nothing but ancient history to Fee until she pricks her finger on a bone spindle while exploring a long-lost ruin. Now she's stuck with the spirit of Briar Rose until she and Shane can break the century-old curse on his kingdom. Dark magic, witch hunters, and bad exes all stand in her way, not to mention a mysterious witch who might wind up stealing Shane's heart along with whatever else she's after. But nothing scares Fee more than the possibility of falling in love with Briar Rose. And then there's also one book coming out on January 17th, which is A Crown of Petals and Ice by Shannon Mayer and Kelly St. Clair. So this is the third and I believe final book in the Honey and Ice trilogy. I read the first book earlier this year during the Indie Accords readathon, and that first book deals with Allie, who is a half-human orphan fae, and dealing with the fact that she potentially broke Underhill, which is like their magical realm. There is some romance and action in there, and I think I gave it like 4 to 5 stars. It was good enough that I definitely am very intrigued for the next books in the series. I think book 2 is already out and I have it on my Kindle. I just have not read it yet, but this is gonna be book 3, so I actually can't really go into the summary too much, but it is like a new adult fantasy fairy type of book. Then there are 2 books coming out on January 25th. The first is Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. This is going to be a sci-fi horror, and it says, a ghost ship, a salvage crew, unspeakable horrors. Claire Kovalik is days away from being unemployed, made obsolete, when her beacon repair crew picks up a strange distress signal. With nothing to lose and no desire to return to Earth, Claire and her team decide to investigate. What they find at the other end of the signal is a shock. The Aurora, a famous luxury space liner that vanished on its maiden tour of the solar system more than 20 years ago. A salvage claim like that could set Claire and her crew up for life. But a quick trip through the Aurora reveals something isn't right. Whispers in the dark, flickers of movement, words scrawled in blood. Claire must fight to hold on to her sanity and find out what really happened on the Aurora before she and her crew meet the same ghastly fate. And then also we have Light Years from Home by Mike Chen. Every family has issues. Most can't blame them on extraterrestrials. Evie Shao and her sister Cass aren't on speaking terms. 15 years ago, on a family camping trip, her father and brother vanished. Their dad turned up days later, dehydrated and confused, and convinced he'd been abducted by aliens. Their brother Jacob remained missing. The women dealt with it very differently. Cass, suspecting her college dropout twin simply ran off, became the rock of the family. Evie traded academics to pursue alien conspiracy theories, always looking for Jacob. When Evie's UFO network uncovers a new event, she goes to investigate, and discovers Jacob is back. He's different, older, stranger, and talking of an intergalactic war, but the tensions between the siblings haven't changed at all. If the family is going to come together to help Jacob, then Cass and Evie are going to have to fix their issues and fast, because the FBI is after Jacob, and if their brother is telling the truth, possibly an entire space armada too. Moving into February, on February 1st, there are 3 books coming out. The first is Amari and the Great Game by B.B. Alston. This is the sequel to Amari and the Night Brothers, which I absolutely loved. 5 out of 5 stars. Like, it is so fun. Again, I'm not going to get into this book specifically because it is a sequel, but it's basically a, like, Men in Black type of magic system where, like, it's in our world, there are different magical creatures, but it's hidden. Like, you have to be part of this society almost in order to see this kind of stuff, and it follows our main character of Amari, who's actually searching for her missing brother, and so in doing that she joins this magical society and has to do trials in order to get accepted. And so the first book was a lot of those like trial aspects, but it was so much fun. I don't exactly know where we're going with this one, but the title, The Great Game, sounds amazing, and so I'm very, very ready for this book. And then we also have Count Your Lucky Stars by Alexandria Bellafleur. This is the 3rd book of companion novels in the Written in the Stars series. Again, I read Written in the Stars earlier this year, really, really enjoyed it. I did not read the 2nd one yet, but since they're companion novels, I thought I'd let you know at least about this 3rd one coming out. Margot Cooper doesn't do relationships. She tried and it blew up in her face, so she'll stick with casual hookups, thank you very much. But now her entire crew has found the one, and she's beginning to feel like a 5th wheel. And then fate, the heartless bitch, intervenes. While touring a wedding venue with her engaged friends, Margot comes face to face with Olivia Grant, her childhood friend, her first love, her first, well, everything. It's been 10 years, but the moment they lock eyes, Margot's cold, dead heart thumps in her chest. Olivia must be hallucinating. In the decade since she last saw Margot, her life hasn't exactly gone as planned. At almost 30, she's been married and divorced. However, a wedding planner job in Seattle means a fresh start and a chance to follow her dreams. Never in a million years did she expect her important new client's best woman would be the one that got away. When a series of unfortunate events leaves Olivia without a place to stay, Margot offers up her spare room because she's a very good person. Obviously. It has nothing to do with the fact that Olivia is as beautiful as ever, and the sparks between them still make Margot tingle. As they spend time in close quarters, Margot starts to question her no-strings stance. Olivia is everything she ever wanted, but Margot let her in once and it ended in disaster. Will history repeat itself, or should she count her lucky stars that she gets a second chance with her first love? And then we also have Horror Hotel by Victoria Fulton and Faith McLaren. When YouTube famous ghost gang Chrissy, Chase, Emma, and Kiki visit a haunted LA hotel notorious for tragedy to secretly film after dark, they expect it to be just like their previous paranormal hauntings. Spooky enough to attract subscribers and ultimately harmless. But when they stumble upon something unexpected in the former room of a gruesome serial killer, they quickly realize that they're in over their heads. Sometimes it's the dead who need our help, and the living we should fear. Then, moving to February 8th, there are 2 titles coming out. The first is Brave Enough by Rob Justice. This one I'm pretty sure is a picture book. I don't always have picture books on these lists because sometimes I'm not aware of the ones that are going to be coming out, but I do have a couple this time. This one says, little brother sees monsters everywhere, so he'd rather stay safely inside and read all about them in his books. Big sister believes monsters are nothing but phony baloney make-believe and drags little brother on a hair-raising adventure to prove it. In a hilarious echo of common sibling squabbles that both older and younger siblings will appreciate, little brother has soon had enough of big sister trying to make him just like her. When big sister leads them into big trouble, it's time for little brother to show that he has what it takes to save the day. And then there's also A Comb of Wishes by Lisa Stringfellow. Sure enough, the sea woman will come for what's hers. Ever since her mother's death, Keela feels every bit as broken as the shards of glass known as mermaid's tears that sparkle on the beaches of St. Rita. But when she discovers a different kind of treasure, she accidentally summons an actual mermaid, the wrathful Ophidia. Ophidia makes Keela a bargain, her ancient comb in exchange for a wish. And though Keela knows that what she wants most is her mother back, a wish that big will exact a dangerous price. Then there are 3 titles coming out on February 15th. One is another picture book. It's Oona and the Shark by Kelly DiPuccio. This is one that I have not read the first book in this series, but the art style on this cover absolutely grabbed me in, and I definitely need to get these. And this one says, Oona loves to share her inventions with her friends. They're big and bold and loud, just like her. But there's one underwater creature who doesn't seem to enjoy Oona's company or her creations. Stanley the shark. He doesn't care for her squeaky unicorn, and he's far too busy for the seahorse carousel. And, oh goodness, Oona's latest hopping, chopping, and popping inventions just make him angry. Oona may not know what Stanley likes, but she does know what he doesn't. And maybe that's a good place to start, because mermaids never stop trying. Not when there's a friend out there to make. Then we also have the Chandler Legacies by Abdi Nazemian. Beth Kramer is a townie who returns to her sophomore year after having endured a year of judgment from her roommate Sarah. But Sarah Brunson knows there's more to that story. Amanda Priya Spence Spencer is the privileged daughter of New York City elites who is reeling from the realization that her family name shielded her from the same fate as Sarah. Raymond Golashar arrives at Chandler as a transfer student to escape the dangers of being gay in Iran, only to suffer brutal hazing under the guise of tradition in the boys' dorms. And Freddie Bello is the senior who's no longer sure of his future, but has fallen hard for Spence and knows he has to stand up to his friends after what happened to Raymond. At Chandler, the elite boarding school, these 5 teens are brought together in the Circle, a coveted writing group where life-changing friendships are born and secrets are revealed. Their professor tells them to write their truths. But is the truth enough to change the long-standing culture of abuse at Chandler, and can their friendship survive the fallout? And then we also have A River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross, and this is going to be an adult fantasy. I believe this author has written books for YA in the past, however I have not read any. Jack Tamerlane hasn't stepped foot on Cadence in 10 long years, content to study music at the mainland university. But when young girls start disappearing from the Isle, Jack is summoned home to help find them. Enchantments run deep on Cadence. Gossip is carried by the wind, plaid shawls can be as strong as armor, and the smallest cut of a knife can instill fathomless fear. The capricious spirits that rule the Isle by fire, water, earth, and wind find mirth in the lives of the humans who call the land home. Adara, heiress to the east and Jack's childhood enemy, knows the spirits only answer to a bard's music, and she hopes Jack can draw them forth by song, enticing them to return the missing girls. As Jack and Adara reluctantly work together, they find they make better allies than rivals, as their partnership turns into something more. But with each passing song, it becomes apparent the trouble with the spirits is far more sinister than they first expected, and an older, darker secret about Cadence lurks beneath the surface, threatening to undo them all. Then there is one book coming out on February 22nd, and that is Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. Now, Ashley Herring Blake is another author I have not read from before, and this, I believe, is one of their first adult romances. Delilah Green swore she would never go back to Bright Falls. Nothing is there for her but memories of a lonely childhood where she was little more than a burden to her cold and distant stepfamily. Her life is in New York, with her photography career finally gaining steam and her bed never empty. Sure, it's a different woman every night, but that's just fine with her. When Delilah's estranged stepsister Astrid pressures her into photographing her wedding with a guilt trip and a 5-figure check, Delilah finds herself back in the godforsaken town that she used to call home. She plans to breeze in and out, but then she sees Claire Sutherland, one of Astrid's stuck-up besties, and decides that maybe there's some fun and a little retribution to be had in Bright Falls after all. Having raised her 11-year-old daughter mostly on her own while dealing with her unreliable ex and running a bookstore, Claire Sutherland depends upon a life without surprises. And Delilah Green is an unwelcome surprise at first. Though they've known each other for years, they don't really know each other, so Claire is unsettled when Delilah figures out exactly what buttons to push. When they're forced together during a gauntlet of wedding preparations, including a plot to save Astrid from her horrible fiancé, Claire isn't sure she has the strength to resist Delilah's charms. Even worse, she's starting to think she doesn't want to. And then moving into March, there are actually 6 titles coming out on March 1st. The first is The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. So this is going to be published by Tor on March 1st, but I am pretty darn sure this was self-published or indie published before, so this has been out for a little while. The Alexandrian Society is a secret society of magical academicians, the best in the world. Their members are caretakers of lost knowledge from the greatest civilizations of antiquity, and those who earn a place among their number will secure a life of wealth, power, and prestige beyond their wildest dreams. Each decade, the world's 6 most uniquely talented magicians are selected for initiation, and here are the chosen few. Libby Rhodes and Nicholas Ferrer de Verona, probably said that horribly wrong. Inseparable enemies, cosmologists who can control matter with their minds, Rain Amari, a naturalist who can speak the language of life itself, Parisa Kamali, a mind reader whose powers of seduction are unmatched, Tristan Kane, the son of a crime kingpin who can see the secrets of the universe, Callum Nova, an insanely rich pretty boy who could bring about the end of the world. He need only ask. When the candidates are recruited by the mysterious Atlas Blakely, they are told they must spend 1 year together to qualify for initiation. During this time, they will be permitted access to the Society's archives and judged on their contributions to arcane areas of knowledge. 5, they are told, will be initiated. 1 will be eliminated. If they can prove themselves to be the best, they will survive. Most of them. Then we have 1,000 Steps into Night by Tracy Chi, and this is going to be a Japanese-influenced fantasy. In the realm of Awara, where gods, monsters, and humans exist side by side, Muiko is an ordinary girl resigned to a safe, if uneventful, existence as an innkeeper's daughter. But when Muiko is cursed and begins to transform into a demon with a deadly touch, she embarks on a quest to reverse the curse and return to her normal life. Aided by a thieving magpie spirit and continuously thwarted by a demon prince, Muiko must outfox tricksters, escape demon hunters, and negotiate with feral gods if she wants to make it home again. But with her transformation comes power and freedom she never even dreamed of, and she'll have to decide if saving her soul is worth trying to cram herself back into an ordinary life that no longer fits her, and perhaps never did. Then the next one we have here doesn't actually have a cover yet, but again, this author is very good about getting their books out on the date that they said that they're going to come out. So this is going to be A Hunt of Shadows by Elise Kova. This is the second book in the Trial of Sorcerers. The first book is A Trial of Sorcerers. I absolutely love that one, and so I definitely need to read this one. Because it is a sequel, I actually don't know if I can read a summary. If there is one, there is not one. But basically the first book is about a girl who has water magic, and she is at this like academy where there are a bunch of different people with different elemental magics, and they're going to have a competition to see who wins to bring them to, like, I think a previously warring kingdom that they're now trying to make peace with. And so the first book has a lot of trials in it, like the games. I absolutely loved that one. I loved our characters. I love the magic system. This is, I believe, a sequel series to her Air Awakens series, which again has more elemental magic stuff. I have not read that one, and so I was not aware that it was a sequel series. You don't have to read that first series in order to read this one. It just has like little cameos and like hints and pieces, you know, that kind of thing. Then we also have Witchlings by Claribel A. Ortega, and this is going to be a middle grade. Every year in the magical town of Ravenskill, witchlings who participate in the Black Moon ceremony are placed into covens and come into their powers as full-fledged witches. And 12-year-old Seven Salazar can't wait to be placed in the most powerful coven with her best friend. But on the night of the ceremony, in front of the entire town, Seven isn't placed into one of the 5 covens. She's a spare. Spare covens have fewer witches, are less powerful, and are looked down on by everyone. Even worse, when Seven and the 2 other spares perform the magic circle to seal their coven and cement themselves as sisters, it doesn't work. They're stuck as witchlings and will never be able to perform powerful magic. Seven invokes her only option, the impossible task. The 3 spares will be assigned an impossible task. If they work together and succeed at it, their coven will be sealed and they'll gain their full powers. If they fail, well, the last coven to make the attempt ended up being turned into toads. Forever. But maybe friendship can be the most powerful magic of all. Then we also have Travelers Along the Way by Amina May Safi. This is going to be a Robin Hood remix. Jerusalem, 1192. The Third Crusade rages on. Rama al-Hud formerly followed her elder sister Zina into the war over the Holy Land, but now that Farangi invaders have gotten reinforcements from Richard the Lionheart, all she wants to do is get herself and her sister home alive. But Zina, a soldier of honor at heart, refuses to give up the fight while Jerusalem remains in danger of falling back into the hands of the false Queen Isabella. And so Rama has no choice but to take one final mission with her sister. On their journey to Jerusalem, Rama and Zina come across a motley collection of fellow travelers, including a soft-spoken Mongolian warrior, an eccentric Andalusian scientist, a frustratingly handsome spy with a connection to Rama's childhood, and an unfortunate English chaplain abandoned behind enemy lines. The teens all find solace, purpose, and camaraderie, as well as a healthy bit of mischief in each other's company. But their travels soon bring them into the orbit of Queen Isabella herself, whose plans to re-seize power in Jerusalem would only guarantee further war and strife in the Holy Land for years to come. and so it falls to the merry band of misfits to use every scrap of cunning and wit, and not a small amount of thievery, to foil the usurper queen and perhaps finally restore peace to the land. And then the last one for this date is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. Olivia Pryor has grown up in Maryland's school for girls, and all she has of her past is her mother's journal, which seems to unravel into madness. Then, a letter invites Olivia to come home to Gallant. Yet, when Olivia arrives, no one is expecting her. But Olivia is not about to leave the first place that feels like home. It doesn't matter if her cousin Matthew is hostile, or if she sees half-formed ghouls haunting the hallways. Olivia knows that Gallant is hiding secrets, and she is determined to uncover them. When she crosses a ruined wall at just the right moment, Olivia finds herself in a place that is Gallant, but not. The manor is crumbling, the ghouls are solid, and a mysterious figure rules over all. Now Olivia sees what has unraveled generations of her family, and where her father may have come from. Olivia has always wanted to belong somewhere, but will she take her place as a Pryor, protecting our world against the master of the house, or will she take her place beside him? Moving to March 8th, there are 2 books. First is One for All by Lily Lainoff. This is an Own Voices gender-bent retelling of the Three Musketeers. Tania de Batz is most herself with a sword in her hand. Everyone in town thinks her near-constant dizziness makes her weak. Nothing but a sick girl. Even her mother is desperate to marry her off for security. But Tania wants to be strong, independent, a fencer like her father, a former musketeer and her greatest champion. Then Papa is brutally, mysteriously murdered. His dying wish? For Tania to attend finishing school. But l'Académie des Mar... No, I'm so sorry. Tania realizes it's no finishing school. It's a secret training ground for a new kind of musketeer. Women who are socialites on the surface, but strap daggers under their skirts, seduce men into giving up dangerous secrets, and protect France from downfall. And they don't shy away from a sword fight. With her newfound sisters at her side, Tania feels for the first time like she has a purpose, like she belongs. But then she meets Etienne, her first target in uncovering a potential assassination plot. He's kind, charming, and breathlessly attractive, and he might have information about what really happened to her father. Torn between duty and dizzying emotion, Tania will have to lean on her friends, listen to her own body, and decide where her loyalties lie, or risk losing everything she's ever wanted. And then we also have A Far Wilder Magic by Alison Saft. When Margaret Welty spots the legendary Hala, the last living mythical creature, she knows the half-moon hunt will soon follow. Whoever is able to kill the Hala will earn fame and riches and unlock an ancient magical secret. If Margaret wins the hunt, it may finally bring her mother home. While Margaret is the best sharpshooter in town, only teams of 2 can register, and she needs an alchemist. Weston Winters isn't an alchemist yet. Fired from every apprenticeship he's landed, his last chance hinges on Master Welty taking him in. But when Wes arrives at Welty Manor, he finds only Margaret and her bloodhound Trouble. Margaret begrudgingly allows him to stay, but on one condition. He must join the hunt with her. Although they make an unlikely team, Wes is in awe of the girl who has endured alone on the outskirts of town that doesn't want her, in this creaking house of ghosts and sorrow. And even though Wes disrupts every aspect of her life, Margaret is drawn to him. He too knows what it's like to be an outsider. As the hunt looms closer and tensions rise, Margaret and Wes uncover dark magic that could be the key to winning the hunt, if they survive that long. Then there's one book coming out on March 15th, which is Right Where I Left You by Julian Winters. School's out, senior year is over, and Isaac Martin is ready to kick off summer. His last before heading off to college in the fall, where he won't have his best friend Diego, where, despite his social anxiety, he'll be left to make friends on his own. Knowing his time with Diego is limited, Isaac enacts a foolproof plan, snatch up a pair of badges for the epic comic convention Legends Con, and attend his first ever teen pride. Just him and Diego, the way it should be. But when an unexpected run-in with Davy, Isaac's old crush, distracts him the day tickets go on sale, suddenly he's 2 badges short of a perfect summer. Even worse, now he's left making it up to Diego by hanging with him and his gamer buddies. Decidedly not part of the original plan. It's not all bad though. Some of Diego's friends turn out to be pretty cool, and when things with Davy start heating up, Isaac is almost able to forget about his Legends Con blunder. Almost. Because when Diego finds out what really happened that day with Davy and their friendship lands on thin ice, Isaac assumes he's upset about missing the convention. But could Diego have other reasons for avoiding Isaac? Then there's also one book coming out on March 22nd, which is Kiss and Tell by Adib Khorram. Hunter never expected to be a boy band star, but, well, here he is. He and his band, Kiss and Tell, are on their first major tour of North America, playing arenas all over the United States and Canada, and getting covered by the gossipy press all over North America as well. Hunter is the only gay member of the band, and he just had a very painful breakup with his first boyfriend, leaked sex, public heartbreak, and all, and now everyone expects him to play the perfect queer role model for teens. But Hunter isn't really sure what being the perfect queer kid even means. Does it mean dressing up in whatever the label tells him to wear for photo shoots and pretending never to have sex? Unfortunately, yes. Does it mean finding community among the queer kids at the meet and greets after K&T's shows? Fortunately, yes. Does it include a new relationship with Kyvan, the star of the band opening for K&T on tour? He hopes so. But when the label finds out about Hunter and Kyvan, it spells trouble for their relationship, for the perfect gay boy Hunter plays for the cameras, and most importantly, for Hunter himself. And then finally, there's one book also coming out on March 29th, which is So This Is Ever After by F.T. Lukens. Eric hadn't thought much about what would happen after he completed the prophecy that said he was destined to save the kingdom of air from its evil ruler. So now that he's finally managed to, somewhat clumsily, behead the evil king, turns out magical swords yanked from bogs don't come pre-sharpened, he and his ragtag group of quest companions are at a bit of a loss for what to do next. As a temporary safeguard, Eric's best friend and mage, Matt, convinces him to assume the throne until the true heir can be rescued from her tower. Except that she's dead. Now Eric is stuck as king, a role that comes with a magical catch. Choose a spouse by your 18th birthday or wither away into nothing. With his 18th birthday only 3 months away and only Matt in on the secret, Eric embarks on a desperate bid to find a spouse to save his life, starting with his quest companions. But his attempt at wooing his friends goes painfully and hilariously wrong, until he discovers that love might have been in front of him all along. These are all the ones that I'm very excited for coming out from January through March of 2022. Let me know if you've heard of any of these or any ones that you think I would be interested in but I missed, because I'm always looking for more books. I shouldn't be, but I am. And give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I am still doing the 12 Days of Bookmas, so I will have another video up tomorrow, and I will see you guys then. Bye!